What's up, guys? I am stoked to share this secret with you today. Under this King of Diamonds, there's a few things going on. So we have the card that gets vanished is cut out in this way. I did like a little trapezoid. And then this King of Diamonds is taped to another card. And the rest of that 5 of clubs is just taped onto that card as well. So it creates like a little puzzle piece, right? And then when these are taped together, none of the queen is actually taped to any of the King of Diamonds. The queen is taped to this piece of the Vanish card, and then that piece is taped to the king. So they are only connected by that one little piece. Does that make sense? So this plays upon a principle that does exist in other aspects of Magic, of almost creating like a pocket that you have within a card. But the way we're using it in this case is to hide this card. You're able to like kind of shake it around and it just kind of falls into place. And that's all due to that puzzle piece coming together. Now you can experiment with different shapes to cut into this card, which I certainly have. The reason I like the small trapezoid is, look, you can almost get as much of the card as possible before you expose it, which means you also don't have like an entire edge being exposed. I think one way I used to do it was more of a reverse, where I had it cut here, had it jut out, and then cut here, but then you can't show this much of the card. So this is great. Now it is 3 cards thick, and that's just always going to be the case with this gimmick. So you do have the thickness factor and even potential discrepancies with a paired card. Like if you did this with a Joker, or as I've done it with another king, you kind of always have that situation, right? And so handling is going to be very important for this. But how cool is that? Like if you have a deck of cards right now and double stick tape and scissors, you are done. Like you could make this right now. It'll take you 5 minutes. So let's talk about all the potential things you can do with this now that you've made your cool little gimmick. If you're enjoying this video, subscribe to the channel to become a part of the Hobbyist Magic Club. And if you want to dive even deeper, consider joining my free Patreon membership or picking up some merch from the store. So something interesting about this is, because this card is contained within here, you have kind of this factor where you can't show it front and back when it's in a sandwich position. What you can do to get around that is this little subtlety where you can display the card and then turn over and show it and then go back. Okay, same thing goes from the front. If you're holding it in this way, you obviously couldn't show that or it would reveal it. So you can just kind of reference it. And this is, I feel like this kind of plays on 3-card Monty, different moves like that, where that turnover, you kind of hide the fact of what's going on. So if you want to show both sides, you can show here, and come back. Then you're going to hold it in a way where, like in my hand, I'm left-handed. If the cards are going from left to right like this, from bottom to top, then when I just kind of glide my hand over, gravity will it'll just nest that card into place, which is super, super cool. You can also vanish it on the table, which I think is a huge advantage of this. So it is a slow change. It's not a visual change. That's where you get your elastics and flaps. So the advantages of this are what you want to play to, is that you can make a very clean display. You're not having to hold pressure on these cards, right? It's just sliding into place. Now, if you want, and I believe this replicates some sort of illusions that you're able to do with maybe arranging normal cards in certain ways. So I think that principle is out there. But with the gimmick version, you can show this one side and then have a card appear. It's a little more subtle. It's not as like wow factor as I would want it to be, but it is there. So sometimes a limitation can become a strength, right? So you show the 2 kings and a card appears in between them. I don't know. It is what it is. You can have another card hidden under the card and do a very simple card change. And so that would look like just loading it all together. You can show it front and back since we have that extra card this time. And then you can do the Vanish in the same way and show the card. So because this is a thick card, remember to square up and just use the other card to your advantage. So not displaying this card on its own too often and displaying it under the other card. So for just a chill performance where you're just showing people, I think you can come under and you have a lot of play here with like a pinky break, and you can just bring it out like, hey, I have a stack of 3 cards, right? Here's the card. You make it vanish and then you go from there. But let's try to take this a step further. So let's say you force that 5 of clubs and then you do a more normal sandwich routine. But let's say you've revealed a normal 5 of clubs and you're just keeping that gimmick hidden for now. And so you can do that. You can maybe do 1 or 2 phases of that. Then you're going to talk about reversing it. So when it comes down to it, this can be the final phase of a sandwich routine where you put the real 5 of clubs on top of the deck, and then you're going to place the gimmick card on top. And you're going to act as though you're coming over and putting the 5 of clubs in between them again. But what you're really doing is extending the gimmick and getting into position. So now the 5 of clubs is here, and you have the gimmick loaded with the 5 of clubs, and you can turn it over to have it placed in the spectator's hand. So this is playing on, actual coin turtles and, scotch and soda idea. If we can place it in the spectator's hand, that's going to be great. So then you do need to get this card to go face up into the middle of the deck. You could also, palm it into your pocket or a card to wallet if you want to go that far. So then you can put a lot of heat on this where you have them gather up the cards themselves, just have them square it up. And then you do need to come over. That's a limit of this gimmick because it's still a gimmick, but you can come over and just display the cards. And then we can go to the deck or your pocket or wherever you've now loaded the card. And that's a good final twist for a sandwich routine. So do be careful. There is some trouble you might get into if you get it in a spot where it won't square up. I guess the main way that happens is if this side intersects or collides with the piece that it's running into. And so if you have it down here, it won't coalesce. So you do have a lot of play, but just be aware of where the gimmick is and keep it relatively straight. That way you can do this. But it is fun to, I think an advantage of this is that you don't have to be perfectly straight. You can kind of display it like a normal human being, and then you just get into position and you can square it up. Even if it's a little angled beforehand, you can still square it up from there. Let me know what you thought of this easy to make gimmick in the comments below. And if you liked this, we've taught other gimmicks on the channel, so check out the coin through card box gimmick. And if you want more sleight of hand focused videos, check out the 10 ways to change a card video. But until next time, thanks for watching. Keep enjoying your magic, stay a hobbyist at heart, be kind to yourself and others, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks guys.